Young children are one step closer to having a COVID-19 vaccine. Late this afternoon, Pfizer filed for emergency use authorization from the FDA for its low dose COVID-19 vaccine for children under 5 years old. And it could mean shots in arms by March. Now, just 2 months ago, Pfizer reported mixed results when it came to the effectiveness of this vaccine. So today I spoke to a specialist from Children's Minnesota to better understand where things stand and what parents should know right now. To understand the delays and mixed results so far for Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine for children between 6 months and 5 years of age, Children's Minnesota vaccine specialist Joe Kurland says it comes down to dosage. Pfizer's vaccine for everyone 12 and older is 30 micrograms per shot. For kids 5 to 12, it's 10 micrograms.
The new vaccine that we're looking at for kids 6 months to 5 years of age is a 3 microgram dose. This is 1/10 the active ingredient as compared to adults. So it's a very, very small amount. And the safety profile looked excellent. There were no adverse events. There weren't any serious safety concerns. And for kids under 2 years of age, so 6 months to 24 months, they had good efficacy. But for whatever reason, the kids 2 to 5 years of age didn't have that robust immune response that we wanted. And Pfizer said, okay, we're going to pause. We're going to re-examine this, giving them a third dose to see if that can get us to the point where we're getting that vaccine efficacy we want and need to be comparable to what anybody 5 years of age and older actually has.
If the reports are true, they're not waiting to have results for that third dose before seeking approval. Why would they do that?
It's a little unorthodox. And I think what Pfizer is doing is making a calculated risk here and approaching this with a solid safety data platform, saying that you have initial efficacy data in the youngest population that looks good, and wanting to get some level of protection into a community that's currently vulnerable, and do so in a way that primes the system or allows a baseline of vaccination to be ready, that when they have that third dose evidence, that they'll have a population that is eligible for that third dose around the same time.
And if you're wondering why bother, because young children generally fare much better than adults.
It's true that kids don't seem to have some of the worst outcomes that adults do. And there are a certain number that get sick, and they get seriously sick. And we have had young children that have required hospitalization, have required ICU care, have required intubation. And we want to avoid that as much as possible. And if there's a measure that we can, parents don't have to roll the dice on whether or not the exposure to this virus may land them in the hospital.
So far, for age groups that are eligible, you can get a vaccine dose in many different locations. Do you see that being the case with this as well, or would a parent maybe go to their pediatrician in order to have it scheduled just like the rest of their vaccinations?
Yeah, we're having those discussions right now. There are policies, statewide regulations in place that allow pharmacies to vaccinate kids as young as 3, but younger than that, you're typically seeing those cared for in pediatric or family practice or clinic settings. And I think most families are most comfortable that way. But I think the state of Minnesota and different health systems are going to be looking at this carefully and making sure that we can best balance, getting vaccines out as quickly as as we anticipate the demand will be, but also making it a comfortable environment for the families and the patients to make sure that it doesn't add undue stress.
Now, regardless of where these shots happen, Kurland says it's always best to consult your child's doctor because they know their unique health considerations and can answer your questions. Now, if the FDA signs off, he says the first shots could start again by early March with another dose scheduled 21 days later. Timing and approval of a third dose remains uncertain.